Because of climate change.
Welcome and thank you once again for joining us for another episode of Ken's Corner. It's been a while. We like to take sabbaticals. We'd like to go and spend time exploring the world. And sometimes we come back and decide to do a show. And this happens to be one of those times. So without further ado, let me introduce Ken. God bless you. It's good to see you, brother. How have you been?
Hey guys, how are you? I'm back. Yeah, just chilling with old Jay and Gunner here, or Brett, as you like to, as he's known to everybody. But yeah, we're just chilling. Awesome. Yes. It's a good night. So
absolutely. And of course, we would not have a show now without you, Brett. It's good to have you again. Good to see you. God bless you.
Oh, God bless you guys. It's great to be back.
Awesome.
Always enjoy it.
Well, for those that do not know, Ken and Brett are yet here to do their Heart Foundation tag team review against the false narrative of the media conglomerates.
Perfect.
That would have hurt.
A quick elbow. There you go.
So Ken, let's get this out of the way. We're actually returning to a beginning of sorts in this episode. We're going back to where we started, the foundations of Ken's Corner. Tell us a little bit about your shirt.
Yes. So my shirt is a Blackwater shirt, and Blackwater is a contracting company, and I wore this shirt as the first one. Well, I just was wearing it, and because I have three of them. I have three like this, and I have a couple other colors. But and somebody put in the comments said, "I can't believe you would wear a Blackwater shirt. That's so anti-Christian." I'm just like, what? I used to be a contractor, so. But anyway, so that just started me wearing my shirts, and then I would wear a shirt every time. So for 2 years, when we were doing consistent shows once a week, I have hundreds of shirts, literally hundreds in my closet. My wife wants me to clean it out, and I don't want to. Because I always wear them. I wear them to work out. I wear them. Yeah, I'm always in t-shirts. So anyway, that's my Blackwater. That's my Blackwater history.
Very, very nice shirt. Now, I too am wearing a shirt. This is a shirt that is available on Moriel.org.
That's awesome.
If you would like to support the movie, which, by the way, it has I'm not going to turn around, but it has a QR code. So wherever you're walking and people see, you are a moving, talking, enthusiastic billboard for why this time is different. That's very cool. Important film for the times in which we live.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Just to make sure both of you have already seen it, right? I've sent you guys comments.
Yes, we both. Yeah, we watched it. I think you sent it back a month ago or something, or 2 months ago. Yeah, right when it was out. Yep.
Perfect.
Insane.
Just wanted to make sure. So let's go ahead and get started. There's a lot of news. We want to get to all these stories. To begin with, Ken, California gets slammed with another atmospheric river. Experts warn a possible super El Niño could be forming, and the internet immediately screams, Operation Popeye!
Yeah.
Yes. Operation Popeye was real.
Yes,
the U.S. experimented with cloud seeding during Vietnam to extend monsoon season.
That's on Wikipedia.
I mean, if Wikipedia says it, it's true.
You know it's true because they have a lot of, not true. Anyway, go ahead.
But let's be honest. Nature was wiping out civilizations long before the U.S. government had any type of satellite or programs.
Yep.
As I have learned, in 1877 to 1878, El Niño helped trigger famines, killed millions. And sometimes the earth doesn't even need a conspiracy theory to remind humans who's really in control.
Yeah. And that's what the main thing is. I have that actually down here. It's like God is in control, but he might be allowing some things. But we hear a lot about El Niño coming to us, and it's supposed to be a big one. There's supposed to be a big El Niño this year. But like I said, when I was talking to you at in the pre-show, did you ever hear of the super El Niño of 1877 to 1878? And you're like, no. And I was like, neither did I. And it killed more than 50 million people. So they say that the one coming in 2026 is similar to it. So it's weird. That super El Nino created horrifying droughts and famines all over the planet. 50 million dead. It was truly one of the worst environmental disasters in recorded history. And now they're saying a repeat performance is on its way. Each El Nino is different. Some are weak, some are strong. I know God's in charge. That's a given. But the scientists are telling us the El Nino that is coming in the middle of this year will be immensely powerful. So scientific models are tracking that it'll rival or exceed the 1877, 1878 powerful El Nino. It was the last time the Pacific warmed this aggressively, resulted in droughts and harvest failures, and it's mostly across India, China, and Brazil. It contributed to famines that killed so many people. Most people are noticing the shift in weather this year. And I don't know if I told you guys that here in Arizona, we didn't have a winter. We didn't have any, it was like, we usually have 10, 12 snow days, and up in here, northern Arizona, and we had one this year. And it was warm, and the snow melted the next day. We didn't have no snow lying around. It was crazy. And maybe it was like that 150 years ago, but never before, from what I've seen. I moved here for the change of seasons. It was just like California. It was like nothing, maybe 10 degrees, 15 degrees hotter than LA, but it was crazy. So when the Super El Nino hit in 1877, 1878, it was 4% of the global population, and that's equal to about 250 million in today's terms. So that'd be quite a few people, and it's agreeably the worst environmental disaster ever to befall humanity. That was a quote. Researchers have written about this event. The particular Super El Nino changed the course of history, and it could be that 2026, 2027 could be the hottest year ever recorded. So, of course, not every area of the world will be affected in the same way. Some parts of the globe will be just more rain than usual, while others experience severe drought. Wheat production will likely drop by 2027, and that is horrible news, because in 2026, U.S. farmers will grow the fewest acres of wheat since records began in 1919. So that's crazy too. The Rockies, as well as here in northern Arizona, had recorded lowest levels of snow this winter, and that's where you get the runoff. You get it from the snow, because it's likely. I mean, it hangs out until June. That the West. The hot months this year, Western states are headed into summer with desperately low water supply. So many ranchers and farmers suddenly find themselves in desperate situations. It's exceedingly difficult to feed cattle when conditions are bone dry. At this point, the U.S. cattle herd is the smallest it's been in 75 years. So economists warn this is just the beginning, and the pressure of weather, could last for years. So, not even talking about the drought and the insane fire season that it'll bring. So that's another thing, is the insane fires. In fact, the global fire season has already gotten off to a alarming start. So we have never seen this before. It's going to be monster storms. There will be droughts, and there will be famines. So it's insane how the Super El Nino is arriving at the time when global events are already at haywire. So we're facing the perfect storm. Jesus is coming soon. That's all I can say. Maranatha.
Let me ask you a question, Ken.
Yeah.
So first of all, does that mean that there's going to be droughts in say California, or is it going to mean storms?
It's going to be storms. Probably El Nino. I think the past El Ninos, the one El Nino that I remember was when I was back maybe 20 years ago. And it was 1997, because I just bought a brand new car, and it was crazy how, and nobody knows this, but Newport Beach was flooded back then. I mean, you couldn't, and it was literally up to my doors. and I was going down, all these houses are flooded, everything was flooded, and I was driving down the street, and I was in, with I had a Defender, I had a Land Rover Defender, and it had a snorkel on it, and so I was going through it, and I actually rescued somebody. He was on the top of his Datsun, and his Datsun got stalled, and he was up to his windows, and he climbed off of his roof and into my car, and I drove off, and I go, where you live? And he goes, down the street. I was trying to get home, and I just kind of got deep into it, and it was the craziest time. But that was what I remember in El Nino, and it was a really bad one. If you look at 1997, 1998, if you look at that, and it was a tough one. So if this is worse, I don't know what happens. Who knows?
Well, we're already dealing with food shortages as it is.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. The farmers, they're talking about the farmers are, they're droughting them out, and they have the fires and stuff like that. They're in Wyoming, and some of the farmers. So sad, so sad.
Wow.
Just to add on top of that too, I was just reading an article the other day. I don't have it for this, but it was talking about the amount of water that all these new data centers.
Oh, yes. I was looking at that. And Tahoe, remember they're talking about Tahoe. They're going to cut their water.
Yeah, they're going to cut their water off for the data collection center.
Yeah, 50,000 people. They're cutting their whole and their electricity and all this stuff, and they're using thousands and thousands and thousands and millions of gallons of water. Yeah, it's nuts.
That doesn't seem like a smart idea with Tahoe, because at least from when I've been to Tahoe to the last time, the water was already way down.
Yeah. Yep. And all the river, all the lakes are down. You look at Lake Powell. I look at just all the Colorado and all the rivers. Yeah.
Interesting.
Nuts,
all right.
Nuts.
Our next story is digital surveillance, the new throne of power. Forget tanks in the streets. Modern governments don't need secret police knocking down the doors saying, "Where are your papers?" Instead, your phone already reports your location, your opinion, your friends, and your search history voluntarily.
Yep.
And now critics are sounding the alarm after reports that DHS and ICE use an obscure 1930s law to go against a protester?
Yeah.
Brett, unpack this.
Oh, can't make this up. The Department of Homeland Security demanded Google to turn over data of a Canadian citizen. According to reports from Wired, the DHS used a, quote, custom summons under a Tariff Act of 1930 to demand Google to release location records, account activity, and identifying information that connected a Canadian man to his online post criticizing ICE of their immigration enforcement earlier this year. The man hasn't even been to the United States in over 10 years, but since the technology platforms operate under US jurisdiction, the government claims that the rights to the information is theirs. Governments around the world will increasingly use private technology infrastructure as a way to collect personal information. Wired also reported that DHS issued a custom summons that is similar to an administrative subpoena, which does not require a prior approval from a judge or a grand jury. The government demanded all records involving location, history, account activity, and communication tied to the, quote, threatening or harassing language, unquote. The government somehow justified using the customs law, even though this individual was never accused of importing goods or violating custom duties in any normal way. We are at a new beginning of surveillance and control by government through new technology. Smartphones produce mass amounts of personal information from our daily use, from GPS systems, cellular networks, Bluetooth signals, Wi-Fi connections, application tracking, advertising identifiers, cloud synchronization, and location services that are always running in the background on your phone. The Wall Street Journal recently reported how DHS and ICE significantly expanded the digital surveillance operation using facial recognition systems, social media analysis, license plate readers, AI-driven data aggregation, phone extraction tools, and integrated tracking platforms capable of combining government and commercial databases simultaneously. Federal agencies have reportedly already spent hundreds of millions building and improving their capabilities of collecting information. This is allowing governments to create permanent population monitoring. Simultaneously, immigration agencies continue to issue large numbers of administrative subpoenas to Google, Meta, Reddit, Discord, and other telecommunication providers. Once these systems merge together and governments move to geolocation tracking, banking activity, online communication, facial recognition, biometric ID, license plate reading, and behavior analysis, any anonymity for anybody in society is gone. And one of the new things that they're starting with to get around having to get warrants or actually do the manpower is something called geofencing. Geofencing is it creates a virtual perimeter around a real world location that was originally used by retail stores or for advertising, but has become a weapon for government surveillance. Law enforcement can define a geographic location around a crime scene and demand Google show every device detected within that area and time frame. This will involve hundreds to even thousands of innocent people having their data collected into an investigation. Traditional warrants required evidence to a single person, but now geofence functions like a digital dragnet collecting information on everybody in the area. The government claims that the people voluntarily share this information so that it's not personally protected. And I know sometimes we think, well, okay, this is just has to do with ICE and that, but we've seen other administrations. I mean, take a typical Sunday for any of us. We go to church, that's tracked. Okay, so now we go to church, we're Christian extremists. After church, we might go to the gun range. So now we're tracked because now we're a threat because we own a gun. And then number three, I stop at the meat store and pick up some meat, and they flag that because now I no longer care about the planet because I want to eat meat.
Wow.
So you can see how this is going to be used against us in every possible way to track everything we do and everything we say.
Wow.
Brett, are you saying that this is a voluntary ankle monitor that I'm carrying around?
Yes,
Brett?
it is.
Well, and that's the crazy thing is they're saying it's voluntary, but I mean, we know between our jobs, banking, everything, not having a smartphone, it's not voluntary. To really communicate with society, you pretty much need to do it.
Yeah.
Interesting. So this is a chain. This is a chain, and this is actually the accuser. Is this the accuser of the brethren?
It is.
Wow. I had no idea. I guess I'm going to go back to smoke signals and Morse code. Yeah. Seems a little bit safer. Our next story, Ken, Los Angeles.
Yes.
You know that I live there. You know that I love it. It continues its experiment in equity policing. Well, officials push policies aimed at reducing traffic stops. They say disproportionately affect minorities. The problem? Justice is supposed to be blind, not color-coded by City Hall spreadsheets of who will pay. We went from equal under the law to bureaucrats trying to calculate melanin percentage before getting pulled over. And that's the strange contradiction of modern politics. They say enforcement has to see race in order to stop being racist.
Yes.
So now cops are expected to enforce laws while simultaneously pretending not to notice violations if the demographic looks inconvenient.
Yep. That's it, man. Los Angeles is pressuring cops to stop pulling over too many non-white people. So lawmakers told police to stop pulling over non-white drivers for minor issues. They say it affects the way black and brown, they say it affects too many black and brown people. The city council, what?
What about Asians?
What about Asians? Yeah,
We don't count. We don't count.
You don't count. You don't count.
Just the black and brown people?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. The city council voted unanimously to recommend banning pretextual traffic stops over issues such as broken taillights, etc. So the report is from city council. The report from city council found that the vast majority of those stopped were Black or Hispanic. And Democratic council member Imelda Padilla said after the vote, "This is what this generation wants." Quote. Activist groups such as Black Lives Matter, and I'm going to do a sidebar here. Are they still a thing? Number one. And I thought one of their leaders embezzled millions and had 3 or 4 mansions, but I digress. That's right.
She does. I know exactly where it's up at Topanga Canyon Hills.
Yeah.
Really a plush spot in Woodland Hills.
Yeah, totally. And that's just one. So I remember she had 3. I forget if she had 3 or 4 mansions. But anyway, so Black Lives Matter. So Black Lives activists stated that these stops inflict mental and emotional trauma, and the stops have little to do bearing on traffic safety outcomes. So I don't know. It's just something more to add on to the cops where they just, so it's like the guy who and he's smoking a joint coming down the road, but he gets a ticket and he turns around and the guy on the side of the road, like 3 or 4 or 5 steps away from him, is shooting up something. And he's like, so I get a ticket and this guy gets nothing? And because he can pay his ticket. She didn't say that, but that he can pay his ticket. But that's amazing to me. So anyway, this is the LA meltdown.
This is happening during a time where we find out that LA is, I believe, spending almost $800,000 to house homeless people. I think it's per unit.
Yes. It's and
for 1,500 people.
Yes. That one I saw it on Twitter. I forget what it was. He was in an apartment, and it was and he paid $15 a month.
Yes, because I pay for the rest.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. He paid $15 a month. And it was like a 1-bedroom apartment. It was like a great view. It was like a total view of downtown.
It is downtown LA.
Yeah.
But this is also happening when the LA PD is having a hard time keeping police officers employed. Yep. So you have a really crazy double standard. First, you're going to put on this new burden of, again, if a person has too much melanin, then you need to show leniency. But if they look like they have some money, go after them.
Yes. And I saw so many things since we've seen, but this is kind of related. It's a guy that was stabbed by a Muslim guy, and the Muslim guy said that he said something derogatory to him. So they put the guy that was stabbed in England. In England, in handcuffs, and he died right there. He bled out right there while he was in handcuffs. And the guy accused him of saying something. Times. Yeah.
With and it's 8-inch knife.
It's nuts. He had 8-inch knife. 8-inch knife. Yeah. It's nuts. They've lost their minds. They've lost their minds in France, Germany, Sweden, all those areas, man. The only people that survive right now are is it Holland? That has Poland. Thank you. Yeah. Poland has 0. And that's what he talks about. Orban, I forget it.
They rigged that election, so Viktor Orban is out now.
Oh, really? Oh, no. So it's going to go back to and watch because it's the only Poland is like the area that has no attacks, right?
Poland was also the one that kept vetoing the EU from going all in on Ukraine and Russia.
Oh yeah.
So that was another reason they were really upset with him, because he kept vetoing that.
Oh, and why is that now? Could it be that most of the military hardware and gear is located in their country?
Yeah.
They don't want to be under attack, which I don't blame them. Who would want to be under attack?
That's crazy. Wow.
Hmm. Well, from LA to the Eastern Bloc, it's all the same backyard,
It's all
isn't
the
it?
same backyard. It is. It is a liberal mindset.
Yep.
I think that not making sense type of mindset is carrying that left side. It's not really the left side because it's some right too. It just you I don't know. It's just we can see it getting into the point of it's end times. It's last day stuff. Last day stuff.
To kind of tag on to that, I don't know if you guys saw it, but did you see the little video clip of a guy supposedly was in a prep school and he gave the kids at his school a card to read? And
yes.
none of them could read it.
None of them could read it. They were like, and then guess who got arrested? Guess who got kicked out? He did. He did. Yep.
For exposing, and they're seeing in the story, they were saying, I might get it wrong, but I think it was from kids like, was it 15 to 24? I don't know, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
That 25% of that population that can't read above a 5th grade level.
They can't read above it. Yeah. Or that would be like because even 5th grade could pronounce some of those words, and
it had like stilettos and extraordinary, and like they couldn't get either of those words.
Yeah. I saw that. That was crazy. Yeah, and he gets arrested and he gets kicked out of school.
The willful blindness.
Yeah, willful blindness. It's just truth.
I believe that's called the fairness doctrine right there.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Now, one of my favorite catchphrases that I've ever heard on radio was diversity is perversity. And that was a Michael Savageism that he brought back in I'd say the late 90s, early 2000s. And I've entitled this next segment based on that. Europe faces another surge of migrants crossing from Libya into Greece and Southern Europe, while politicians once again repeat the sacred mantra of diversity is our strength. And maybe it is, right up until the taxpayer gets the bill for the housing, healthcare, policing, translation service, social programs, infrastructure strain. Nobody voted for this, but everyone's expected to celebrate. Modern elite loves to be altruistic, as long as it's financed by somebody else's paycheck.
Exactly.
Nothing says compassion like volunteering your neighbor's tax dollar while living behind a gated community and with private security. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens are told rising costs, overcrowding, cultural tensions are just the price of being on the right side of history. Because apparently the modern politician, borders are immoral. Why don't you take this one, Brett?
So the Greek immigration minister actually came out and openly stated, warning all of Europe that roughly 550,000 immigrants are just waiting in Libya for the chance to cross the Mediterranean into Europe. Over 500,000 people waiting to flood Europe again, while Brussels does nothing but talk about humanitarian values and European solidarity. Europe created this entire crisis with their failed foreign policy disasters. They aggressively went after anyone criticizing or even challenging these policies. Anyone using common sense was labeled as far right, racist, or an extremist. Before the execution of Gaddafi, Libya maintained control over all the immigration routes across North Africa. And he even stated that. He said, as long as you keep me in power, I will keep Europe from being flooded with immigration. And when they took him out, and of course, they had no plan for after his death, what are we going to do once we take him out? They take him out, and then the country collapses into chaos, and almost immediately that vacuum was filled by militias, traffickers, criminal gangs, and smugglers. Depending on the source, estimates now put the migrant population inside Libya between 700,000 to 2.5 million people. And keep in mind, Libya's population is only 7 million. Entire regions of the coast are controlled by trafficking operations, moving immigrants to Europe while they make a small fortune doing so. Germany, France, Italy, Sweden, Austria, Netherlands, and Britain have all experienced a rise in so-called nationalism and anti-established movements because the public can easily see in real time the devastation that this is causing to their country. It is having a heavy impact on crime, housing, wages, healthcare system, the education system, cultural identity, and creating political instability. Europe is already facing a sovereign debt crisis for a decline in industrial production, energy instability, collapsing birth rates, rising unemployment, housing shortages, and a decline in a standard of living all at the same time. And you're going to see if they get this other wave coming through, it is just going to exponentially put pressure on that, which leaves the question, does the EU even survive this?
How much water? Because you remember that illustration where you can have a cup and you can keep dripping water into the top of it, and it never breaks the surface tension, and the tension will actually go above the rim of the glass quite some bit. But the moment there's like a stress moment where everything just falls out after that, that's past the rim. When do you think that is, Brett, for Europe?
I say it's got to be close. I mean, because you see just the people rising up, and you can only be called racist or be talked down to in your own country for so long before I think people are finally going to rise up and say they've had enough. Especially as they see, it's one thing when the money's still flowing and the economy's going well, but then you have cracks in the economy and people's standard of living drops and they're not getting the services they used to get. They don't see a future for themselves or for their children, and they see all their tax dollars going to waste. I think that tipping point's coming real soon.
So all it would take would be some bread lines and some fuel shortages, and you think people will say, I don't care if you call me a racist?
I would certainly hope so.
Yeah. And I'm looking also at Ezekiel. I mean, Libya's part of this. So Libya had to be, they had to get rid of the strong man, which was obviously Gaddafi. But it's part of, Libya, Egypt, Ethiopia. And we're looking up in north. We're looking at, Gomer, which is Turkey, Togarma, which could be Armenia. I'm just looking at the all of them coming up against Israel, all of them coming. And Libya was one of them. So I'm waiting for Egypt to fall.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Might happen soon.
Who knows?
And Egypt, by the way, has a very interesting economy because it started to take a lot of tech jobs. So if it ever goes bust, you're talking about a major country in the Middle East that will suddenly have lots of people who are highly educated with no work and no way to live.
Yeah.
Where can they go other than Europe?
Yep.
All right. Turning our eyes to the mystical east, where the bamboo forests and the Yellow River flows, Trump has decided to bring MAGA to the land of Xi Jinping. Expecting diplomatic respect, economic concessions, maybe a grand bow from Beijing, and instead he gets handed a bao bun and a train deficit. Somewhere in Shanghai, Trump is asking for a Big Mac, while the aides explain, sir, this is an artisanal pork dumpling diplomacy delicacy. And honestly, international politics in 2026 feel less like statesmanship and more like a Yelp review with nuclear weapons. Americans want manufacturing back. China wants influence, and everybody smiles politely while completely hacking each other's infrastructure and stealing technology. But give credit to China. They looked at America fast food culture and said, we can do the same thing, but steam it.
Deep in the 100-acre land where Donnie Trump does play lives a silly old leader all stuffed with poles, Cinny the Roo style every day.
Cinny the Roo, Cinny the Roo.
Tubby little strong man all covered in red hue. He's Cinny the Roo, Cinny the Roo, willy-nilly silly old Roo.
Go ahead, Ken.
Everyone is talking about Trump's visit to China. Remember how he said that? China. So here's some interesting intel on Xi Jinping's bizarre family history. I don't know if have you guys heard that? Any of it? Any of the?
No.
I didn't. I was reading, going. I reread that article because it was so interesting. She is so radically different from all Americans that it's extremely difficult for most of us to understand exactly who he is. Doing a little research, you discover that Xi's father, Xi Zhongjun, lived 1913 to 2002, had been a victim of the Great Protectorian Cultural Revolution. Had to look that one up. So, and Xi himself had been exiled as a teenager. According to multiple sources, Xi Zhongjun was against Mao and was a leader and supporter of the anti-Mao revolution. Xi's father was accused of revisionism and was brutally ostracized. According to Grok, Xi Sr. was paraded in 1967, where he was labeled a traitor and humiliated and imprisoned in isolation for years, including a tiny room from 1968 to 1975, and subjugated to manual labor and repeated denunciations. His family suffered greatly. His wife and children, including Xi, when he was a teenager, were attacked, and Xi Jinping was sent down to the country aside for years of hard labor himself, which is crazy. Many American politicians, Donald Trump among them, have been subjugated to considerable ridicule, but nothing remotely like this. Marched around in public, humiliated, often with dunce caps on their head, forced to denounce themselves and their friends and relatives, stripped off their livelihoods, not allowed to practice their occupations, and incarcerated for years, if not killed. Mao Zedong instigated all of this, and it was his doing, and he was by far the greatest mass murderer in world history, with an estimated 40 to 70 million. So yet he still lives in a state in his mausoleum in Tiananmen Square with crowds lined up to admire his corpse. That's crazy. Many rebelled against the man, of course, and still do, but Xi Jinping, despite his horrendous treatment of his family and himself, was not one of them. He did just the opposite. Xi has been gradually bringing back much of the iron fist of Maoism, much of it through indirect technological means, such as the Skynet social credit score and the government-run data fusion system. She oversees the oppression of approximately 12 million Uyghurs and the estimated 100 million Christians of China, which could be more, with the underground church and stuff. She has allied with totalitarians around the globe, including Iranian mullahs. His mindset is socialism with Chinese characteristics. That's a quote. To a great degree, she has become the contemporary mirror of the evil dictator Mao. Now, Trump undoubtedly knows this about Xi. He knows the history. How he uses this knowledge is unclear. He does have experience dealing with autocrats, like Xi, Putin, Kim Jong-un. He's been accused of cozying up to them, but is that really what's going on? Looks more like a strategy, but more like a navigating technique to make your opponent feel comfortable. I mean, what good does it do if China, to go to China and call Xi a horrible dictator? which he is. We are at a turning point from all the war in Iran to modern life, to the global economy itself is at play. I really don't have much, to tell anybody, but stay tuned, man. It's very interesting to see what's going on.
I'm going to have a little bit of a pushback there, Ken.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, I'm going to have to fact check you. That is not the story of Xi Jinping. Okay, it begins in the 100-acre woods, and there's this little round young Ginny the Pooh, and he loves his honey. That's the story that I've been told. So I don't know where Grok got this story from.
I don't know. That's just Grok, and that's what I leave it to them. All right, so it's their issue if that's not true. But they pulled up off how many sources, right?
Like I mean, AI can be wrong.
Yes,
I'm telling you,
can be wrong.
It's definitely.
AI can be wrong.
I've heard it many times now.
And
Ginny the Pooh.
Yes, exactly.
Ginny the Pooh. Okay, I'm just saying.
It's awesome. That's awesome. I'd rather believe that because it's more innocent. It's more an innocent world, and I like Winnie the Pooh.
It's a different world where Christopher Robin gets sent to a re-education political prison than somebody else.
Yes, and I was listening to Kenny Loggins' song.
What happened to poor Eeyore? Do you think when the Cultural Revolution swept through the 100-acre woods?
I don't know.
He was with the Uyghurs.
Oh, he was probably roasted with ginger and garlic, and a little bit of chili oil.
Donkey roast. Oh my gosh.
All right. Next one.
All right.
Brett, a nation drowning in debt, credit card, student loans, mortgages, car payments, medical bills, millions of Americans working paycheck to paycheck just to service the interest. According to surveys, many people believe they will never fully escape debt in their lifetime. I believe it was in the early 19th century we abolished slavery, yet somehow the ruling elite decided to reinvent it with subscriptions, APRs, and minimum monthly payments. Modern bondage doesn't usually come with chains. It comes with notifications of payments due. A digital plantation where people work endlessly to keep the system fed. Go ahead.
As we've watched our national debt rise out of control with all the fraud and waste our government carelessly spends of our tax dollars, it is now hitting the American public like never before. Americans now owe around $1.3 trillion in credit card debt. Wow. Which equates to the average family carrying a monthly balance of over $11,000 every month. And this is with most credit card rates fall between 25 to 30%. So you're looking at over $2,500 of every month of just interest.
Wow.
Leaving a very defeated attitude. In a recent survey, 42% of Americans believe that they will die in debt and never get out of it. The majority of new debt has switched, though, instead of buying luxury items or toys, it has switched to household items, necessities like groceries, gas, and bills. Adding to the personal debt crisis, Americans are carrying $1.7 trillion in auto debt and over $12 trillion in mortgage debt. Then for many, you add on trillions more in student loans and personal borrowing. The official narrative is that the economy is growing and unemployment is low. And while this is actually true, the average person is feeling poorer and poorer and in more debt than ever before. Part of what is driving this is we've seen through wars and, what Kenny was talking about with famine going up is it's not an isolated incident. Everything depends and runs on energy. Transportation rises, so do food prices. Construction rises and machinery rises. Manufacturing rises from production costs rising, and then diesel fuel for our trucks and our ships to move goods. It spreads through every part of the economy rather than remaining an isolated part. This is serious because it proves that inflation is spreading throughout the entire country over many different sectors. And once it hits kind of like, what Jay was talking about, it gets to a point that it can no longer, it gets so much momentum going with the inflation and everything going up, it's hard to pull it back and to stop it. They're artificially trying to do it, but they're just not being successful.
Wow.
Yep.
And then we just add on the continuing spending of, wars, and what really kills me is just, and the fraud, and just everywhere that we've seen, Minnesota and California.
Oh my gosh. That's, yeah.
I mean, you haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg with California.
You haven't.
When we do fraud,
you do it better than anybody.
We really do it better than anyone else.
Well, what they do to Nick Shirley? Remember what they did to him? They have this. The governor's wife or something. One of the mayor's wives has the Stop Nick Shirley Act. It's got his name on it. Stop Nick Shirley Act. So he can't expose anything, and it's nuts. It's crazy. These people are crazy. It's all part of last day stuff. It's just nothing makes sense. Up is down, down is up. Hot is cold, cold is hot. Yeah.
Well, let's move on to our next story. Japan.
This is a good one.
A place always close in my heart.
Yes.
My heart bleeds for the people of Japan, wanting them to know their Messiah. Well, they have a bear problem. And I don't mean that you have a bunch of bears eating a bunch of teenagers that are talking about bald people. I'm talking about bears that are coming down from the mountains. And what is Japanese solution? Mechs, robo-wolves. Because apparently somebody watched the Terminator and thought, hey, needs more fur. Yes, Japan is deploying robotic wolves with glowing red eyes and terrifying sounds to scare off the increasing bear attacks in rural areas. Somewhere between Tokyo and Osaka, it's like the Chicago Cubs and the Bears relocated and started fighting over salmon. And honestly, this is the peak modern civilization. Instead of fixing nature, we build nightmare animatronics to scream at it. So, if you like hiking in Japan and hear a demonic howl in the woods, relax. It's probably not the apocalypse. It's just Robo Lobo defending the rice fields.
That is the best opening I've ever gone into. Oh, Japan's robot wolves in high demand to scare off bears. All right. So a Japanese company is making ferocious looking robot wolves. I should have done a picture. This thing's insane looking, and they are being swamped with orders. This is after a record number of fatal bear attacks on humans last year. Monster Wolf is an animatronic scarecrow and has flashing red eyes and howls and growls menacingly to scare away wild animals. This is a quote from the maker. He goes, "We make them by hand, and we cannot make them fast enough. Now we're asking our customers to wait 2 to 3 months." That's crazy. Orders come mostly from farmers and operators of golf courses. Bears have killed 13 people across Japan in 2025 and the beginning of 2026, more than twice the previous high. More than 50,000 bear sightings. 50,000 bear sightings were recorded. That's more than Big Bear. Were recorded nationwide, more than double the previous record set 2 years ago. Bears were seen entering homes, roaming near schools, and rampaging through supermarkets and hot spring resorts on almost a daily basis. They have captured 14,601 bears. That is triple the last year mark of all at the time high. Some northern regions report more than 4 times as many sightings as the animals emerge from the hibernation. Prices are for the artificial wolf start at around 4,000 or higher. It's broadcasts more than 50 kinds of recorded sounds. The device turns its head from side to side and has flashing red. I should have. Man, it looks so bad. It's awesome, and it has flashing red lights, and its tail has a blue light. The product was introduced in 2016 to prevent damage to agricultural products. The product has been upgraded by putting wheels on it to now chase the animals or patrol specific paths. We are currently making a bunch of these to scare off liberal Democrat streets protesters. Just kidding. I'm just.
Now, I have heard a rumor, though, that they will all jump in at once and they will form a bigger version of the Lobo. It's known as the Robo Werewolf.
The Robo Werewolf.
All 5 of them will come together and interconnect, and they will eat a bear themselves.
That's awesome. That's awesome. My other question is it made in China? That's what I want to see. Yeah, I don't know.
No. It's completely made in Japan.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't be surprised if they called it Zinni. Ginny the Pooh.
This thing, I can't believe I didn't send a picture to you, man, to put on. You could pull it up. You could pull up Japan's robot wolves. Maybe you have it.
I'll make sure that it gets in here.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't worry.
Definitely.
I got you.
It's pretty cool.
Hey,
that's
one
awesome.
thing kind of along those lines, this was a story that came out. Gosh, we haven't done a show. It was something I was going to do. Did you guys ever hear about the was it Pokemon Go? Where, what was the one where they send you out, you have to go out to capture the Pokemon?
Oh, yeah. You take your phone and you walk and you.
Yes. And you ding, ding. Yeah.
No, I know where you're going with this, Brett.
What?
The whole thing behind it was they're recording, so Google has all the roads all mapped out. But what they don't have is inside the infrastructure. So they purposely put the Pokemon in places so they can track the people where they go and lay out a digital footprint that they can send. And I don't know, they didn't say this, but I'm going with the Robo Dogs that we've seen, and they're going to know exactly where to go because it's all mapped out.
Wow. That's I can see.
Play a nice game. You get exercise. Go play game.
And those things are getting crazier and crazier. The and even the robots that they're building.
Yeah.
They will do backflips and stuff like that. They show this one guy doing backflip. It's like, whoa. It's nuts.
If it's free, you're the product.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of a product that is very questionable, the Texas Children's Hospital reaches a settlement with the Texas Attorney General after allegations tied to hormone treatments and investigations surrounding state restrictions on gender transitioning procedures for minors. The message from Texas officials is simple. If lawmakers pass a law and institutions openly defy it, eventually the bill comes due. And that's the collision happening across America right now. Activist medicine versus state authority. Hospitals say they're providing affirming care. Critics say children were pushed into irreversible treatments before they were old enough to understand the consequences, let alone buy any alcohol. Either way, the culture war has fully entered the operating room. Turns out, trust the science becomes a lot more complicated when science, the law, and politics start suing each other. Take it away, Brett.
The Texas Attorney General just announced that the Texas Children's Hospital is settling the lawsuit, and they agreed to pay the state $10 million and to create the nation's first ever detransition clinic. On top of this, the hospital will be required to provide free detransitional care for the next 5 years. The investigation started after Governor Abbott signed legislation banning transgender children from receiving puberty blockers and hormone therapies back in 2023. And you've seen the outrage from the left over this. And the funny thing is they were saying, well, they've never needed to pay for detransitioning before, so why should we have to pay for it? And the scary thing is we've seen the statistics on that, on people that have gone through that. And here, I'm just going to read this. It says several, because we can trust media and pharma, several medical associations, including the American Medical Association, American Academy of Pediatrics, American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, and the American Psychiatry Association have supported evidence-based gender transitioning care as appropriate and medically necessary for children.
Just to be clear, this is the same probably medical association that believes that if someone's depressed, you should let them do all sorts of things and get rid of them. This is the same medical association that values life not at all. So if a woman wants to get rid of a fetus, take it out.
Yep.
These are the same experts.
Same experts.
Got it. No wonder I have a hard time going to the hospital or to the doctor.
Exactly. Me too.
Well, and even back, I mean, before the whole COVID thing, I used to get ridiculed by the nurse and my doctor because I wouldn't take the flu shot. And I'd be like, oh, I don't need it. They're like, well, you need it. I'm like, I don't get the flu. I might get a cold, but I've had the flu twice in my life. Why am I going to take a shot that may or may not even help me?
Yeah.
How dare you have a functioning immune system?
Right.
Bad. Exactly.
Bad, Brett.
Yeah, exactly. Man.
You have to laugh because otherwise you'd cry.
Yep, exactly. You have to laugh. And you have to just know that judgment's coming. Everything's going to come down to, we're getting close. We're getting close. So
now, just to be clear, this next story, I just would like, we are reporting the news.
Yeah, I'm going to shorten it. I'm going to shorten it up.
We're not saying there's any, evidence of anything at all, but we are saying that there is a report. A CIA whistleblower claims intelligence around the jabby jab the virus was manipulated. Senator Rand Paul demands answers, and half the country is wondering whether the next emergency is already warming up in a lab somewhere. Meanwhile, pharmaceutical giants like Pfizer and Moderna continue developing new vaccines and treatments while public trust sits somewhere between used car salesman and airport sushi. That's the problem with institutions. Once they lose credibility, even legitimate warnings start sounding like marketing campaigns. After lockdowns, mandates, shifting narratives, and censored debates, millions of people now hear new virus and immediately think, here we go again. And in fairness, when government, corporations, and media all insist they're totally learned their lesson, people tend to clutch their wallets and checks and get some toilet paper stocked up.
So I had a page and a half to go over this, and I have discovered in what I wrote down, the biggest issue in this is because it basically a CIA whistleblower to testify. Rand Paul's hearings threatened to unravel the government's long-running COVID, cover up. So, but the biggest issue of this is the charges against Anthony Fauci and his congressional testimony expired just days ago. And that is what somebody said in the comments. And I was like, man, that's just weird. That expired days ago. And now Rand Paul was supposed to be, kind of like a conservative on kind of like you would say kind of on the right. He's he's got the CIA guy that's operative that steps before Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, and this is another bureaucratic exercise. It's going to do nothing. And I mean, I'm reading this article. I'm like, I just wrote this article out, and I actually copied one of the comments. And it was, my observation isn't it remarkable how the government waited for the statute of limitations to run out before having this? And that's it. That's it. I mean, because literally it ran out 2 days ago. Literally. I wrote that down. I wrote the charges against Anthony Fauci for his congressional testimony expired 2 days ago. And so basically, yet another hearing. We're so tired of this. No one will ever be held accountable. The mainstream media won't even cover a single word of this, and the whistleblower will be discredited as quickly as he testifies. Sad, but it's true.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
It's a joke, but it's so funny, but it's like it's just life how it is now. I miss the 80s, man. The 80s and the 90s and even the 70s. Oh,
this congressional investigation brought to you by Pfizer.
By Pfizer. Exactly. Because you look at all the Fox Network stuff, and it's half the shows have that brought to you by Pfizer. And it's like they could have the whole breakdown of it, and then they should. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yep. Ah, man.
Well, with that, we are going to close the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Psalm 19, here's a verse for this this episode. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. And sometimes you should take a moment just to realize, God's got it in control. If he can create something, and if its own creation can proclaim him, why not us?
Yeah.
Anyway, Ken, Brett, so good seeing both of you. I hope we get to do this again really soon. It's been a lot of fun.
Today was fun.